Part 31. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 302. P.S. Vote for recommendation. The snow stopped early in the morning, and the temperature instantly distanced itself from yesterday, dropping to below zero. Cai Kinghu put on a warm coat. She couldn't drive with one hand. Han Qian was worried about Nuan driving alone in the snow, so he simply put the Maserati on. I threw it in the garage and sent Nuan to work first. The Panamera's co-pilot belongs to only one person. That is Han Qian. Although Han Qian asked him to drive, Nuan still insisted on driving by herself. She disliked Han Qian's car for driving too slowly, and Han Qian never let go of the handle along the way. You turn the steering wheel, the brakes don't work very well in this heavy snow. What are you doing by pulling on the wipers? You sprayed some water on the glass and it froze. Wen Nuan gritted his teeth in anger. He had been driving like this for several years and nothing had happened. It was true that Wen Nuan cared about Han Qian and was tolerant of Han Qian, but what she couldn't stand the most was Han Qian's nagging. Due to Cai Kinghu's presence, Nuan didn't speak, but her right hand was already on the car gear. This time Han Qian saw that he was nagging again. The road is inherently slippery, and our car is relatively low. If it hits us, we will suffer a loss. You have an automatic transmission, so why do you keep your hands on it? Save it for slapping your mouth. If you're nagging, I'll slap you. Han Qian shut up decisively and looked out the window without saying anything. When Nuan arrived at the company, Han Qian also got out of the car. When Nuan got out of the car, he walked up to Nuan and tightened the collar of her coat, and softly told her to pay attention at work. Be safe and take rest. Many people gathered at the entrance of Changxiang, all wanting to see who this mysterious husband of the vice president was. From a distance, one could only see Vice President Wen's face full of disgust and irritation, but he did not remove the hands on his collar. Han Qian started nagging again. In the end, Wen Nuan couldn't stand it anymore, so he grabbed Han Qian's collar and gave him a headbutt. Are you Tang Monk? Han Qian gritted his teeth and stared at Wen Nuan, and walked towards the cab with a cold voice. Wen turned around, held the bag with one hand, waved the other arm and shouted softly. Brother Qian, please be safe and remember to have lunch. Wearing a white fluffy cotton padded jacket and a pair of jeans, Wen Nuan looked youthful and beautiful in the wind and snow. Her swaying body was like an elf in the snow. When Han Qian opened the passenger window and was about to continue talking, Wen Nuan turned around and ran away, covering his head with his hands. He trotted all the way with his ears closed, almost falling down during the process, which made Han Qian worried. This girl has no motor skills at all. After Nuan left, Cai Kinghu felt relaxed instantly. He held the backrest of the driver's seat with one hand and said softly. Mr. Sir, where are you sending me? You. Don't go anywhere. Come to work with me. Cheng Jing can't leave the matter of handling Ma Hao Ki to you who have done something wrong. You are over there and he doesn't dare to say anything to you because of my face. Don't go over and harm Cheng Jin, and don't call me husband. Mr. Sir. Piss off. He took Cai Kinghu to the hospital. After the doctor's instructions, Han Qian took her to the general department. Yang Lan and Qianwan both acted calmly when they saw Cai Kinghu. As for Sul Yang, she was used to it and stood up. He smiled at Han Qian, then pulled Han Qian's chair and motioned for Cai Kinghu to sit down. Because this girl's arms were hanging around her neck, the doctor said not to touch the water. It was best not to touch her at all to avoid leaving scars. Han Qian pointed to his chair and said softly. My position is yours now. Don't cause trouble. The rest is yours. Cai Kinghu nodded lightly. At this time, Yang Lan had come over and asked softly how the injury to his arm came about. Qianwan also came over to show concern. When Cai Qinghu was surrounded, Han Qian was strangled by the neck and kidnapped by several male colleagues. Go and press Han Qian to introduce the girl next to him. Han Qian raised his hands in surrender. Brothers, you have all met the girls around me. Why don't I introduce Yang Jia to you? Several male colleagues turned around and left. Some said that the little girl looked thin and boring. Han Qian looked at the guys and felt a little unconvinced. Little Yang Jia has no breasts and no butt. She has a pretty face. What? That was also shown by Yang Lan, Ji Jing, and others. Cai Qinghu instantly became the favorite in the office, serving tea and water. I have never seen these guys being so attentive to other female colleagues. When everyone's attention was on Cai Qinghu, Han Qian secretly slipped away. Cai Qinghu is kept here because she is worried that she will go to Ma Hao Kai's side. The two guys Chiao Hongbin made a mistake. A person with problems reported a person with no problems, and then they believed it. First, their abilities will be doubted, and then they will be doubted. Are they related to Ma Hao Kai? Cheng Jinhui went to interrogate and investigate Ma Hao Kai. Not only did these two people not dare to take the credit, but they also had to be obedient. But Cai Qinghu can't go. This is the text message Cheng Jin secretly sent to Han Qian in the morning. Han Qian just walked into the elevator, then pressed the elevator door button, then ran back to the general department, lay down at the door and asked, "Why didn't you go there? Is there something wrong with the plan?" Yang Lan, who was preparing documents, raised his head and smiled. "It's snowing, and it's the first day. When everyone is ready, we'll be packing up the documents. We'll be gone after a while. There's no change in the plan. Just don't worry." Hearing that there was no change, Han Qian was relieved. Now the big problems have been solved. If something goes wrong in this small matter and the plan fails, it will be more than worth the gain. Han Qian is prepared to make long-term plans for the land in Dongcheng. The income earned from this land now amounts to 600,000 yuan. After counting those that were in Yan Qingqing's hands before, it has exceeded 1 million. If he hadn't been hospitalized for a long time and wasted time, Han Qian would have hoped to get it. 2 million. He told Yang Lan to tell him before leaving that he had to go out for something. As soon as he finished speaking, Cai Qinghu stood up and followed Han Qian out of the general department. Han Qian wanted to go to the Yamen gate to see Guan Degu, but he suddenly attacking the police. Han Qian always felt that something was wrong. Guan Degu had such a natural fear of people at the Yamenmen, how could he attack the police? After going out and getting into the car, Cai Qinghu asked sideways, "Is this how you go to work? Don't clock in, don't work, and just leave after showing your face?" Han Qian drove the car seriously and replied softly, "The company doesn't need me to do anything. I just need to propose a plan and they will implement it. Besides, I don't have that much time. As you can see, I don't have time to rest since I open my eyes." Looking at the man's serious profile, Cai Qinghu said softly, "Han Qian, why are you working so hard? You are only 25 years old. There are many 25-year-olds who are still in school, gnawing at their old age, and thinking about how to have fun. You are ready to let your youth be lost in stress and busyness. Exhausted. Have you never thought about falling in love? Are you ready to spend time with warmth like this?" Han Qian slowed down the car, turned his head and smiled at Cai Qinghu. "Waste of youth. That kind of thing is reserved for city people. Only young ladies like you will think about youth and love. Rural children are not qualified to think about these things. I have experienced the feeling of being crushed to death by money. My parents still live in 3 shabby private houses, and my mother still takes 26 yuan a pill every day. I go to play. To indulge. To fall in love? Do you think I am worthy? I still owe 4 million debt, life does not allow me to rest, I believe in fate, but I do not obey. Cai King Hu frowned and whispered curiously. What medicine is so expensive? I don't know, I just know that it's for treating the heart. There are 5 tablets in a box, more than 130 per box. In fact, if I want to make money, without looking at whether the money is good or bad, I should have 4 million by now. But I have to listen to my mother and I can't take any money. I can lend you some first. Leave it in the bank and earn interest. It's the hardest thing to bear the kindness of a beautiful woman. I've owed her a lifetime of warmth, and I can't pay it back for the rest of my life. I'm not very good at dealing with feelings, and it will be more troublesome. MS sir. Just scream. Han Qian didn't say anything and drove all the way to the Yamen gate. With Cai King Hu's identity, it was easy for him to meet Guan Degu. Han Qian looked at Guan Degu in prison uniform and smiled. Is it moisturizing? Guan Degu chuckled. This is not the detention center. I eat canned meat 3 times a day and smoke to keep me moist. Han Qian chuckled and said again. Then don't go out here. No. No drinking allowed here. Why did you attack the people at the Yemenman? If he scolds me, he just pretends to scold me. It's okay to scold me. If he scolds my master, he will have to pay a price. Okay. 10 days. Think of it as a vacation. Don't think about retaliating against anyone. I paid you, don't hold you back for food and drink. Now I can't pick you up. King Hu sighed, I think can we discuss it? As soon as he finished speaking, Cai King Hu on the side spoke directly. No, no matter, don't ask me. Just stay here, Guan Degu. This is retribution for scolding me in the car. Guan Degu curled his lips and said. Look, you are stingy and look like a bitch. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 303. After leaving the detention center, Han Qian asked Guan Degu softly if he could be taken out in advance. Cai King Hu nodded seriously. I can, but I don't want to. Why should I help you? Discuss and discuss. There's no way to negotiate. I don't want to have anything to do with Tu Xiao. Just because you're not taboo doesn't mean I'm not picky. How does this have anything to do with not being taboo? Han Qian didn't bother to tell her that at worst, he would let Guan Yunbiao stay there for 10 days. The time passed quickly. In a very simple noodle shop, Han Qian ordered 2 bowls of pan noodles and gave some free ones. Of little peppers. Cai King Hu looked at the face in front of him, with a bit of resistance on his face, and asked in a low voice. My husband, are you just going to treat me to this? Han Qian picked up his face and blew on it, then nodded seriously to Cai King Hu. Cai King Hu said angrily. Then what do you, Wen Nuan and Yan Qingqing eat? Eat this too. Wen Nuan and I have been here a few times, but she eats noodles and can't eat spicy food. The Malatang bar on the pedestrian street with Mr. Yan is a few dollars more expensive than this one. Look at your injury. For the sake of, boss. Add an egg to her. Cai King Hu suddenly became dull. Maybe this guy is like this. He definitely didn't mean it, but his idea was just that simple. He is a guy with unequal emotional intelligence. Cai King Hu gave the eggs to Han Qian. She couldn't eat so much. Looking at the noodles in front of her, she took a deep breath, mustered up the courage to take a small bite, and then found that it was not as unpalatable as she had imagined. While eating noodles, Yang Lan called and told Han Qian to go to Changxiang Group later. Han Qian raised his head and looked at Cai King Hu and said softly. How about I take you back to rest? If you don't go back, you have to be more competent as a secretary. I don't want to be like you and can't find anyone after work. You have to take your work seriously. He raised his fist while speaking, and Han Qian shrugged. Check out and leave. Come and enjoy work. Han Qian often visited the store in the past. He also remembers being taken away by people from the Yamen gate here. At that time, he thought that his life had no future. Fortunately, he met Wen Nuan. Han Qian would never think of going there at that time in his life. What saved him was the warmth he had never seen before. Thinking about it, Han Qian smiled. "Ms. Sir, you smile so lewdly." The smile disappeared instantly. Destroy the scenery. My brother is such a serious and pure person at heart. Han Qian is the one who has the courage but no heart. When it was time for Chang Xiang, the warm secretary Chang Nuan and Yang Lan were both in the lobby. The little secretary softly called Han Qian uncle, and then took Cai Qinghu away, while Han Qian followed Yang Lan to Chang Xiang and Glory Fusion. Group Office. The office is not small, and acquaintances are already sitting in their respective seats and working on things at hand. Today, Suliang is wearing a suit with a glorious work badge on his chest. Because he started the small stove in advance, he knows the things in Dongcheng very well. It has also become the backbone of Glory, and at the same time, people who enjoy Changxiang dare not underestimate the general department of Glory, and let them know that it is different from the rumors. Lu Zhuolong was still left in the company. The general department had to have a person in charge. Suliang became the team leader of Glory, directing and assigning work. Now everyone is not thinking about who does more work and less work, but who took the lead in this plan. If everything is done by honor, and Changxiang's employees don't know everything about it, this is not just a shameful thing. Han Qian saw Li Dongsheng sitting in the corner. The two looked at each other but neither spoke. No matter how stupid he is, he knows not to quarrel here. Li Dongsheng seems to have had some changes, and he is actually doing the work at hand. Han Qian stood at the door and whispered. Sister Yang, Suliang is mainly responsible for arranging work here? What is our Glory mainly responsible for? Yang Lan spread her hands and said helplessly. Originally, there was a division of labor, but after coming here, Enjoy here is not very cooperative. Lianger means that we, Glory, will also take over all the work and compete to see who gets slapped in the face. After hearing this, Han Qian covered his face and smiled helplessly, stepped forward, put his arm around Suliang's shoulders, and said with a smile. It seems that my brother Liang is serious, right? Suliang handed the document in his hand to Shan Shan and said softly. Shan Shan, this is the recent popular house style and popular elements in our province. You and Lily should take a look. After saying this, he turned to look at Han Qian resentfully and whispered. Changxiang and these grandsons did it on purpose. They didn't give me a land inspection report when I asked them for it this morning, so don't blame me. Brother Qian came here to prepare for work? Are you here to do some marketing planning? Han Qian quickly raised his hands and smiled. No. Brother Liang, please let me go. If we don't have enough manpower, go ask Sister Yang for it. So Liang stared at Han Qian, silent for a long time and then said weakly. You're impotent. Dude is tough as iron. When the words fell, Yao Shui on the side blushed and spat softly, and said. Go, 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 Qianer, if you have nothing to do, don't come over to make trouble and delay your work. Yang Lan also heard the conversation between these two lousy kids. She was neither beating nor scolding. She felt distressed and angry. The burden on her shoulders was so heavy at such a young age. She stepped forward and grabbed Han Qian's ears and dragged him out of the office. When I went out, I happened to meet Li Yang, who had joined the group to serve as Yu Shisai's deputy. Uncle is here. Han Qian covered his forehead and said helplessly. Don't call me uncle, okay? It would be strange if Nuan heard this and didn't deal with you. What? You also joined the group? Li Yang smiled humbly. I have to thank Mr. Han for Mr. Wen's promotion. If it weren't for Mr. Han, Mr. Wen probably wouldn't even know my name now. I heard that Mr. Han is the leader of the team. As he spoke, he took out the cigarette and handed it to Han Qian. Han Qian took the cigarette and smiled. Me? I'm just in name. I don't participate in the group's plans, and I don't come here very often. You can work hard on your own. The smoke is good. Young Master Han, do you like it? I'll have someone send you too. No, you can't smoke at work. I took this half box. As he spoke, Han Qian lit a cigarette and strode away from the non-smoking Changxiang group. Then this guy became famous in Changxiang. Someone openly provoked the vice president. Not long after, the vice president's secretary appeared on the surveillance camera. He talked softly with this strange man, but did not stop smoking. Strange. The little secretary came to invite Han Qian upstairs. He didn't say anything specific. Han Qian always felt that there was something fishy here. When he came outside the warm office door, Han Qian took a deep breath and opened the door. He didn't even walk through the door with his feet. He didn't speak, just looked at the women in the office. Warmth, Yan Qingqing, Cai Qinghu, Ji Jing, Yu Shisai. They were also looking at Han Qian. Something is wrong, very wrong. Han Qian tilted his head and whispered. Poetry? Don't you need to check out the following work? As soon as the words came out, Yu Shisai smiled like a flower. Ji Jing sighed helplessly and stood up, walked behind her and gently squeezed Yu Shisai's shoulders. This scene made Han Qian understand that they might be making a bet, now that it was over. He was relieved. When he walked into the office and was about to speak, Yan Qingqing took off her high heels and put her legs on her warm knees, saying proudly. Come, pinch my feet. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 304. Ji Jing and Yu Shisai were betting, and Yu Shisai made a bigger bet. She bet that Han Qian would call her name when he came in. Yan Qingqing and Wen Nuan were also betting on which leg of Han Qian walked into the office first. Now Ji Jing is rubbing Yu Shisai's shoulders, and Wen Nuan is willing to admit defeat to Yan Qingqing's feet. The picture is indescribably weird. Han Qian walked to the warm boss chair and sat down, picked up the glasses on the table and put them on, opened the file and started working, while whispering. Xiao Nuan, when did you bring the sofa in? Didn't you have a second chair in your office before? Nuan replied softly. Originally it was prepared for you, but now it has been occupied by rogues. Why did you walk in with your left leg? If it were your right leg, Yan who could call me the master? Han Qian didn't answer this. Two naive women, they don't have to do so much work, guess which foot is here, how boring it is. Seeing that Han Qian didn't speak, Yan Qingqing said with a proud smile. Xiao Nuan, don't resist. If you pinch this foot, there will be another one. Yan Hu, don't go too far. Would you like to admit defeat? The two girls were as childish as children. They were looking at Aunt Ji. Han Qian lowered his head helplessly to deal with the documents on the table. After processing, he was about to get up when the little secretary Chang Nuan held a stack of documents and said breathlessly. Uncle, all the documents that I have to deal with recently are here. Mr. Wen said he wouldn't let me give them to you, but... Stop it, you two are wearing the same pair of pants. Either she gives you ideas, or you give her ideas. From what I know about your Vice President Wen, you little girl is the mastermind. Uncle. Put it down, Nuan, come here. Which of you is planning this hospital? Fire this pig. Han Qian's tone was full of disgust. He was not a person who wanted to enjoy life freely, but he could be the leader of Nuan. Li Jinhe and Wen Xiao both agreed with this, and the little secretary Chang Nuan didn't dare to say a word. The expressions of Wen Nuan and Yu Shisai both turned into the color of pig liver. Wen Nuan waved Yan Qingqing's feet away, and Yan Qingqing said angrily, Nuan, don't play tricks. Before she finished speaking, her eyes changed from angry to joking. She bent down and looked at the warm face from bottom to top. She was envious of this baby-like skin, but she still had to ridicule when it was time to ridicule. You, Miss Wen, didn't do this planning, right? No. Before he finished speaking, Ji Jing, who was standing behind the sofa, continued. Huh? Why has Assistant Yu's expression changed? Is he sick? Yan Qingqing smiled in her heart. She stood up and walked to the warm desk, picked up the hospital plan, opened it, glanced at it casually, and clicked her tongue in surprise. Tisk, I must take a good look at Vice President Wen's plan. Don't worry, Glory has no one to go to the hospital now, and our relationship with Glory is not as good as yours, Miss Wen. Well, let me take a look and learn. Since you want to study, tell me what's wrong after reading it. I don't want to work for a pig. Yan Qingqing couldn't laugh anymore. At this moment, she felt that the plan in her hand was like a hot potato. Put it down? Wen Nuan and Yu Shisai are watching. Pick it up and read it. It's okay to show off the plan in front of Han Qian, but if you want to talk about the details, it's not okay, and this guy's mouth is really bad at certain times. Yan Qingqing took a deep breath, turned her head and smiled at Han Qian. After all, it's Chang Xiang's plan. It's not suitable for people in my glory, so I won't watch it, right? Han Qian reached for another document, raised his head, glanced at Yan Qingqing, and said softly. You are the one who will get the shares in the future. If you don't want to be fooled by you as a fool, I won't care about you. I have time in the afternoon today, but I may have other things to do tomorrow. Yan Qingqing spoke softly. I'll go with you tomorrow. As soon as he finished speaking, his hair was grabbed by warmth. He reached out and grabbed the planning case and said disgustedly. You idiot with big breasts and no brains, please stop causing trouble for Han Qian and come here. Wen Zhuiying, please let go, I have big breasts and no brains. Are you nakedly envying me? I have breasts without any brains. You have no brains and no breasts, you none with small breasts. Yan Hu, what do you think this is? Nuan suddenly pushed Yan Qingqing away, and the next second his left leg was directly on Yan Qingqing's shoulder. Nuan narrowed his eyes and said. These legs are long, slender, white, and smooth. What are you showing off, Miss Big Boobs? Let's look at the plan. Others were used to the fight between the two of them. The four girls crowded together to read the plan and look for problems. Cai Qinghu seemed a little out of place. She didn't want to watch and couldn't understand. She sat on the sofa and read. Cell phone, seems to be chatting. After more than half an hour, the four women didn't feel anything was wrong. The planning seemed fine, but why were they said to be made by pigs? Nuan asked Han Qian what was wrong with doubts and unwillingness, and Han Qian sighed softly. If you ask someone who has experience in hospital management, you will know what the problem is. The problem with the planning project is not that big, but it is too messy and you will feel a little dizzy when you look at it. Oh. When Nuan let out a heartless oh, and the next second he threw away the plan, leaned on the sofa, and whispered. Why don't you come and be the vice president of Changxiang? I'll go and herd the cows. Han Qian didn't answer. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Han Qian's cell phone rang. Before Han Qian could answer the phone, 5 looks came his way. Han Qian's hands trembled in fright, and he didn't dare to answer the call until he clicked the button. After calling for the second time, Han Qian went to get his cell phone. Aunt. Hearing Han Qian call him aunt, several women lowered their guard and sat together quietly talking about something. Qian Ling told Han Qian that the short-term plan he proposed had come to fruition. Qian Ling had jointly planned it with the model. The use rights were sold together, and he got a lot of income. He asked Han Qian if there was anything he wanted. In fact, Han Qian wanted money, but to Qian Ling, Han Qian didn't want to show his monetary interests too clearly, so he took the phone and whispered back. I don't really want anything. When you ask me this, I really don't know what I want. While speaking, he accidentally pressed the hands-free button, and Qian Ling's voice reached the ears of everyone sitting. Look what you lack now, a house? A car? Don't think about this money. You will lose all this money in a few days after it comes to you. Now you don't have a car. Buy a car? I think you don't like it. Audi has also launched several new models of Wanwan's two short shabby cars. Your brother used to like the A8. He has a more stable temperament. I don't think it is suitable for you. You have a more domineering temperament. I think young people should be like this. How about the R8? I looked at the limited editions and there are only 2 or 3. 2 or 3. These 2 or 3 are not talking about cars, but 2 to 3 million. Knowing that Qian Ling is rich, and how much can the plan he gave me sell for? Han Qian looked embarrassed, raised his hand and scratched his head, and whispered. This is too expensive, Before he finished speaking, several women stood in front of the table in an instant, looking at Han Qian with warm eyes, and whispered excitedly. Yes. This year's R8 limited edition is not something you can buy if you have money. Yan Qingqing also nodded. Han Qian ignored the two guys and tilted his head to look at Yu Shisai. Yu Shisai bit her lips and swallowed what she wanted to say. She knew that she and Han Qian had the longest relationship. Han Qian, I don't like her either. But she ignored one question. She was the one who had the closest contact with Han Qian now. Han Qian looked at Yu Shisai and said softly. You don't have a car yet, do you? Without giving Yu Shisai a chance to speak, she whispered into the phone. Auntie, the R8 is too expensive, and it's not appropriate for me to suddenly buy a car in my current position. People will criticize me. I have a girl next to me, I have a good relationship. Can you please help me, pick one. There was silence on the other side of the phone, and Qian Ling sighed softly after a long time. Xiao Qian, I know that there are many girls around you, and I am not a pedantic person. I also regard you as my godson. I am happy to see my son being pursued by girls. It would be nice to have more daughters-in-law, but you have to take care of yourself. Han Qian's face turned red and he said quickly. Auntie, what are you talking about? I have the speakerphone on, Xiaonuan and Qingqing are both here. How dare you buy a car for another girl, and are you afraid that your aunt will say something? What is the girl's personality, and what kind of girl does she like? Yeah, he's a mixed race, and his personality is like that of a tiger girl. Xiao Qian. How can you say that about a little girl? Well, I understand. Also, let me tell you that the young master is interacting with Wei Tiancheng and Lu Guangming. Did you hear that? I got it. The car will arrive in about a week, so let's go play. Qian Ling hung up the phone. 3 words. Go and play. What does it mean? When he raised his head, the faces of the women had different expressions, and Han Qian whispered with some guilt. She doesn't have a car yet. If he changes his car, I can drive that Porsche. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 305. You bought a car for Shi. Nuan couldn't help but speak first, looking at Yu Shisai and Han Qian, saying that Han Qian and Yu Shisai had private contact. The answer is no. Yu Shisai basically went to see Han Qian with Nuan. Yan Qingqing stared at Yu Shisai suspiciously and whispered, "There's something fishy." Yu Shisai didn't even bother to explain, he held his head high and said arrogantly, "I'm going to do some work. Han Qian, I'll wait for your car." Before leaving, she posed this problem to Han Qian. In fact, she had never thought about asking for a car. She just wanted Han Qian to keep the car when Qian Ling said that she wanted to give Han Qian an R8 as a gift. As for why Han Qian chose to give it to Yu Shisai didn't know, but she didn't refuse either. Facing Yan Qingqing and Wen Nuan's questioning, Han Qian covered his head and said feebly, "You two look at Aunt Ji, how quiet she is. You are not curious." Ji Jing, who was eating snacks, turned her head to look at Han Qian and smiled. "Just because I don't ask doesn't mean I'm not curious, I just don't want you to lie to me." Good guy. This was even more uncomfortable than asking. Han Qian was tired of explaining and looked at Cai Qinghu, asking for help. Cai Qinghu smiled sweetly at Han Qian and said softly, "How about I give you an R8? Actually, I don't like it. I'm too tall and the vibration of this car is inconvenient." Han Qian's head was full of questions. When did he say the car shook? Then Han Qian said quickly, "Cai Qinghu, tell me something human, when will my car shake? You didn't say it, but as your secretary, I can feel what you are thinking. You fart, just think about it as a man. So I don't recommend you buy an R8. If you like it, I'll call and ask." Han Qian smiled, leaned on the chair with his arms clasped, and looked at Cai Qinghu with his lips curled up. Nuan and Yan Qingqing also became interested. The two girls didn't have much in their stomachs, so they sat half sitting on the desk and looked at Cai Qinghu. Then Cai Qinghu took out his mobile phone and dialed a number in full view of everyone. He also pressed the hands-free button. The call was quickly connected, and a crisp female voice came from the other side. "I have something to say, my sister is in the show." Cai Qinghu took a small bite of the snacks on the table and said softly, "Xiao Sisi, I want to buy this year's limited edition R8. Is there any channel? How many cars do you have at home? Your current Maserati Quattroporte, Ferrari Roma and the classic car you bought at home have never been driven. Even if your sister knew you were a car enthusiast, would you be able to drive it here? Didn't the Ferrari come back? What? Stop talking nonsense, I'll buy it for my boss." Han Qian? Is there a way to buy a car? I know a few of the guys they hired for the event. I'll have someone send the car to you next week. But my sister has to say something. Although we all know that you have inherited a lot of inheritance. But you are also a civil servant, so the car is in Han Qian's name. It can be regarded as my sister's thanks for his life-saving grace. Why? The plot is wrong. Han Qian's face was already panicked. He could guarantee that he definitely didn't know this woman. But both Wen Nuan and Yan Qingqing guessed who this woman was. Play against each other. She knew the celebrities invited to the official events. A life-saving grace. Who else could there be except the woman who was brought out by Tu Xiao at the Mid-Autumn Festival Gala? Nuan couldn't help it anymore and spoke. "Sparse your kindness. I can afford a broken car for my husband, so there's no need for you to give it away." Han Qian helped Nuan so much at work that she wouldn't even frown even if she walked around 10 cars, not to mention one car. Yan Qingqing hugged her arms and curled her lips and said sarcastically, "Wu Qingxi, please serve your sponsor father well. I don't want Han Qian to have an affair with you." It can be said that only Han Qian didn't know this person's name. Apart from him, no one in the country didn't know the name of Wu Qingxi, The new actress. The girl on the phone not only didn't get angry, but giggled sweetly. Hey, Vice President Wen and General Manager Yan are anxious? Actually, I'm not very interested in Han Qian. I gave him the car because he was helpful to Xiaohu's work and helped me out, but I'm very unhappy now. If I like you two women, let's do this. Giving him a car can be regarded as me pursuing him. Wu Qingxi, don't force me to break off our relationship with you. You don't need to take care of the car anymore. Cai Qinghu quickly hung up the phone, raised his head and smiled apologetically at Wen Nuan. That's her character. She's more talkative and more cowardly than anyone else. Wen Nuan smiled at Cai Qinghu and shook his head. It's not about the person, but I didn't expect you and Wu Qingxi to know each other. Is her real name? This question made Cai Qinghu instantly embarrassed, and he forced a smile and shook his head. No, it was later changed to match the ancient drama she starred in. The original name, I told her she might fight me. I'm not joking about buying a car for Prime Minister Han Qian. It's too inconvenient for him to go anywhere. Yan Qingqing nodded in agreement and remained silent until Ji Jing, who had a relatively low sense of presence, suddenly spoke. I don't mind buying a car for my eldest nephew. Now he doesn't have a car and sometimes he can't see anyone. If he buys a car, he probably won't be seen. At least now we can still send him wherever he goes and find people. Yan Qingqing continued to nod like a puppet. Han Qian felt a little uncomfortable. Why was he being monitored wherever he went now? Are women so controlling? Han Qian sat up straight, took a deep breath, and said seriously. I think I should have my own personal space. As soon as they finished speaking, several women turned their attention to Han Qian, and then continued to discuss controlling Han Qian. When they proposed to install a surveillance camera on Han Qian's mobile phone, Han Qian stood up and left. He was worried that the next second these women would come up with the idea of putting a collar around his neck. What the hell is this done by humans? When he walked out of the company, Han Qian looked at the car parked in front of the door, frowned and thought for a while, then took out his mobile phone and called Luo Shanda. Lao Luo, come out and sit down tonight. Luo Shanda was unwilling to see Han Qian, so he hesitated and found a reason. I have my birthday tonight. This is the second time I have refused, Han Qian gritted his teeth and said angrily. It's the humming anniversary of your death, and you come out to me. Luo Shanda, did I give you face? Little bastard, did I give you face? Where is your child with you? What do you think? Stop making trouble and get down to business. I'm starving. Come pick me up at the entrance of Changxiang Company. Aren't you afraid you're getting into trouble? Han Qian could understand Luo Shanda's caution, but that didn't mean he was really good-tempered. He said fiercely into his cell phone. I'm talking to you about business. You'd better not talk nonsense with me. You may be in danger if you come into contact with anyone in the city. I am the only one who can keep you safe. I've already gone downstairs. I was celebrating my 80-year-old mother's birthday just now. Han Daxian er, can you ask me first next time? With my children, wife, and mother by my side, men need to save face. If I'm not in the mood, I'll be irritable and angry when I'm hungry. When I'm angry, I don't care about all the mess. Little ancestor, please bear with me for a while. I want to make a dinner party now. What do you want to eat? I won't eat hot pot, not seafood, and I won't eat Japanese or Western food. Old slave knows, hey. Regarding Han Qian, Luo Shanda understands and has heard others say that you have to coax him to come and make him happy. Everything is easy to discuss, but if you choke him, Han Qian will not be able to get along with you. Say. Then when Cai Qinghu and others recovered and chased downstairs, they saw Han Qian getting into a Passat and driving away. Cai Kinghu was so angry that he gritted his teeth and said viciously. Luo Shanda. I just feel like something is wrong. I said I have been by his side today. How could he agree? That's it? That's it? That's right. Han Qian just wanted to get rid of Cai Kinghu and go to see Luo Shanda. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 306. P.S. I haven't checked for typos yet. I'm busy again. I'll check it later. Eat and drink with Luo Shanda. Han Qian only wanted a bottle of white wine and told Luo Shanda not to be too cautious and just live according to his previous life. Luo Shanda held the wine glass carefully, nodded lightly, and poured a glass of wine. Han Qian did not drink it and said softly. There are some things I need to make some progress on. I told you, but you seem to have turned a deaf ear. While talking, Han Qian picked up Mao Tai and poured it on the plate in front of him. Luo Shanda looked at Han Qian with a gloomy expression and said softly. My main responsibility is finance. You have to deal with Li Dehai. Unless he makes mistakes in areas where I can intervene, it will be difficult for me to deal with him. Oh. Han Qian nodded lightly, then curled his lips and smiled. Well, what would you do if I ask someone to arrest you now? Or if Ma Hao Ki suddenly bites you, the patrol team comes to find you? Are you threatening me? Luo Shanda frowned and looked at Han Qian, his hands trembling slightly. After Han Qian drained the wine in his hand, he squinted at the dish in front of him and said softly. I was arrested the day before yesterday and then released. I'm curious why I was able to get out of what was supposed to be a dead end. Cheng Jin has a deal with you. You are very important to Cai Kinghu. You have been in the official career for 30 years, right? You are not a noble person. You are fair and honest. You accept bribes and practice favoritism. You were given a meal by a celebrity. What haven't you done? Isn't that right? So you are now. Don't tell me that it's not your field. What about those friends who are drinking and bragging at dinner parties about which model will warm up for you tonight? You can figure it out yourself. Someone from my side will take the initiative to contact you. Waiting, just answer the phone. Don't let Li Dehai die. I only want the 20% of the shares in his hands. Luo Shanda endured the humiliation, gritted his teeth and whispered. Ma Hao Ki will bite many people tomorrow, and I will be among them. Han Qian stood up, stretched, and yawned. Don't sleep when you go home at night. Clean up the superficial work. No one will trouble you tomorrow. If my patience is worn out, you will be gone. Also, be careful when you go to play with women. You will be beaten by others you didn't even know you took the photo. A stack of photos was thrown on the table. These photos were given to Han Qian by Cai Kinghu and were found in Ma Hao Ki's secret room. This guy, Ma Hao Ki, who has huge financial resources, doesn't want to let him go. Luo Shanda quickly put away the photo and burned it in front of Han Qian. Han Qian strode out of the box. He would ask Wu Siquan to contact Luo Shanda. As for how the two of them would find a solution, Han Qian didn't care at all. For people like Luo Shanda, there is no need to pity him or compliment him. How many people in the Yamanmen are not disrespected by others? You compliment him, but he looks down on you, and you bully him, but he still has no temper and is obedient. Poor skin and bones. When he went out and took out his muted phone, the screen was full of missed calls and text messages. Han Qian was really panicked. Two of them belonged to an old man. After looking at the time, he saw that the old man should have rested. Han Qian gave him some warmth. I sent a message telling her that she would be going back soon. As a result, Nuan replied that she was not at home. Not long after, she sent a photo via QQ. These women went to KTV to sing, and asked Han Qian if he wanted to go there. Looking at the women in the photo, Han Qian really didn't want to suffer in the past, so he asked when he would go home. Then the news seemed to have disappeared, and there was no news. Han Qian didn't take it to heart, and made a call to Wu Siquan. He hung up the phone immediately after the beep sounded, and within a few seconds, Wu Siquan's phone called. "Master Han. I'll give you a number. You go and contact him. You too can do some research. If you're smart, you can have a solid job and get a good salary. Tell me about Li Dongshen's recent situation. He just left my place. He was called away by Director Li recently. Director Li asked him to study hard. He seemed to be stimulated. When he came today, he lost his temper and had a big fight with his mother. Probably it means that his mother's control over him is too strict, and Li Dongshen is very interested in women now." Wu Siquan seemed to have turned on the shower in the bathroom, and the sound of water dripping could be heard. Han Qian said, "I'll send you a message," and then quickly hung up the phone. Ever since he was harmed by Yu Shisai, Han Qian would always have ripples in his mind, as if his caged heart wanted to break free. Han Qian felt that he was no longer clean and his inhibitions were much weaker. "Do you know the taste of food?" Han Qian couldn't define this matter. He was walking aimlessly on the street, heading home. Nuan called and asked where Han Qian was. As soon as Han Qian reported his location, Nuan's car drove over not long after. After getting into the passenger seat and looking at the smiling warmth, Han Qian said softly, "Why did you come over suddenly and leave the show?" Nuan said with a wicked smile on his lips. "I tricked them into singing, and then I sneaked away to pick you up. Are you going to fight with me? They are still a little green." As soon as he finished speaking, Nuan's cell phone rang, and after the call was connected, Yan Qingqing's roar came to the other party. "Wen Zhuiying, did you sneak away to find Han Qian?" Nuan opened the car door and asked Han Qian to drive. After getting in the car again, he smiled into the phone. "How smart. Sister, I am already lying next to Han Qian. Are you envious, jealous, or jealous? Brother Qianer is just talking." Seeing Nuan's head coming closer, Han Qian stretched out his hand to push Nuan's head away and said softly, "My second uncle saw the scene of you feeding me at the traffic post last time. If we are seen again, both of us will be scolded." When Nuan giggled, ignored Han Qian, and smiled naively at Yan Qingqing on the other side of the phone. "If the situation doesn't allow it, I won't irritate you anymore. You must take good care of them. Secretary Xiao Cai's arm is injured and she is not driving. You have to settle her down and go home to my brother Qian. Come on, don't come over and disturb me." When Nuan hung up the phone, hugged Han Qian's arm sideways and acted coquettishly. "Brother Qian." After getting closer, Han Qian smelled the smell of alcohol on Wen's body. He frowned and squinted at Wen and said coldly, "You dare to drink and drive again? Believe it or not, I will smash your car. Don't be so fierce. Have you forgotten the first time Xiaohong was sent to the Four's shop?" When Nuan sat up straight in an instant and looked out the window with timid eyes. It was a month before the divorce. Wen drove drunk and there were no problems along the way. When he went home and entered the underground garage, his car door hit another car. The glass was smashed hard. At that time, Nuan was frightened, and his cut arm was covered with blood. When Han Qian hurried over, the co-pilot took Wen out of the car, and then smashed all the windshields of the car with a fire extinguisher, and then she left the underground garage with warmth in the way the princess hugged her. "If you dare to get into an accident while driving drunk, I will never let you drive again." Nuan huddled in Han Qian's arms and cried softly, saying softly that the pressure from work was too much. After returning home that night, Nuan took a shower and lay down early. When she got up the next morning, she saw Han Qian wearing glasses. She was working on her computer in the living room. Seeing the warmth of getting up, Han Qian said softly. Let's go eat. Everything is done. Your work here is almost over. Take a taxi to work in a while. I'll take you to the door of the company. At this moment, Nuan was sitting in the car looking at the car window. The car window was like a TV, playing the memories in his mind. It would be great if there was no divorce, Han Qian still belonged to her alone. Can 4 million really keep him by your side? Warm Heart is very scared. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 307. The backrest of the sofa at home seems to be a decoration. The warm back is leaning on Han Qian's shoulders, and his legs are resting on the armrests of the sofa, swaying without rhythm. Every time he raises his legs, the legs of his pajamas will slip off, and then he uses the other one. My feet pushed my trouser legs back up, enjoying it endlessly. There is a concept that Nuan and Yan Qingqing can never agree on. Yan Qingqing really wants to sleep with Han Qian now. Such a long time is enough for her to get to know a person. For a macho man like Han Qian, once you give your body to him, he will definitely be responsible to the end. When Nuan pays more attention to the companionship between two people, she is the woman who has the best chance to take off Han Qian's virginity hat, but when doesn't do it. It's not that she doesn't dare, but she doesn't want to. This matter should come to remarriage. On that day, after the wedding. This also made it difficult for Han Qian, maybe he was used to it. When Nuan asked carelessly with a lollipop in his mouth. Brother Qian, do you like me? Han Qian, who was watching the slam dunk cartoon attentively, nodded slightly. Like. Oh, then do you like Yan Qingqing? Han Qian turned his head and looked at Wen Nuan and said softly. Truth or lie? It's a lie, just make it sound comfortable. Forget it, don't say it. With your personality, it's too difficult for you to tell me whether I like it or not. You will nag me and tell me so many great truths. It's annoying. It's dead, oops. It's so annoying. Seeing Wen Nuan on the side like a cat with exploded fur, Han Qian was a little scared and confused. Why did this happen suddenly? In the 3 years they have been together, Han Qian has never understood the warmth of his character. This is not the first time that he makes himself angry, and it will not be the last time. Whenever he is like this, Han Qian, if you are modest, you will suffer disaster. Just when he thought of this, Wen Nuan was already sitting cross-legged next to Han Qian, glaring at Han Qian coldly and saying angrily. Why does Yan Qingqing like you? Han Qian was stunned, raised his hands and spoke aggrievedly. I do not know. Why are you going out to work? We are getting divorced and I have to live. Why do you want to live? Then you kill me, I won't live anymore. The next second, Wen Nuan pushed Han Qian down on the sofa. Han Qian tilted his head and watched the cartoon, letting Wen Nuan play nonsense. Then Han Qian felt something was wrong, and Wen stretched his hand along the vest, silky his little hand fell on Han Qian's chest. At this moment, Han Qian was nervous and did not dare to move, and said in a trembling voice. Little white-eyed wolf, if you don't want to fight, just take your hands out. Now there is no lust in Han Qian's heart, everything is panic. The girl lying on him smiled, put a hand on Han Qian's shoulder and stood up slowly. The smile on the corner of his mouth made Han Qian's hair stand on end. Hey, brother Qian, watch your moves. After the words fell, Han Qian wailed from his mouth. He covered his chest with his hands and grinned in pain. He took out his warm and mean hands from his clothes and pinched a piece of Han Qian's chest hair with his thumb and index finger. Han Qian's hair was very thick. It's heavy, but only on the legs, but there are also a few roots growing on the 2 points on the chest. In the past, when it was too hot to cook in the kitchen in the summer, Han Qian would go without a shirt, and this was discovered by Wen Nuan. Nuan wanted to pull out these tangled weeds many times. Han Qian was guarded day and night, and he put down his guard after the divorce. Who would have thought that this girl would never forget this matter? Han Qian gritted his teeth and stared at Wen Nuan and whispered angrily. If you dare to pull out mine, I will pull out yours. The warm hands gestured yet and said with a naive smile. I don't. Then let me see. In fact, Han Qian really didn't think about those messy things in his mind. He was just angry for a moment. He sat up and looked at Wen Nuan's chest. Wen was startled. He covered his chest with his hands, blushed, and spat angrily. Rogue, shameless, perverted leader, don't come here. The scene that followed was very embarrassing. Wen Nuan's left foot was placed on Han Qian's chest, and his slender legs were stretched so much that Han Qian couldn't reach Wen Nuan every time he stretched out his hand. After a few experiments, Han Qian no longer embarrassed himself. The pain in his chest also eased, and Han Qian simply stopped making trouble. Just when Han Qian was about to give up, Nuan suddenly spoke. Short legs. Han Qian got off the sofa, put on his slippers and walked over to Wen Nuan. Wen instantly gave up, pulled the pillow and put it on his chest, and whispered pitifully. Husband, I was wrong. Han Qian took a deep breath and said softly. You pressed the remote control. Wen Nuan was stunned for a moment, then his face instantly turned gloomy and he said coldly. You came here to get the remote control. Han Qian nodded, Nuan's expression turned ugly again, and he continued. You just want the remote control. Han Qian was a little panicked when he nodded this time. Nuan stood up, picked up the pillow and threw it on Han Qian's body, saying angrily. I won't play with you anymore, straight man. Pure straight man. Go to hell. What happened again? Han Qian was really confused. Wen Nuan got up and walked to the stairs. After hearing Han Qian's words, he felt even more uncomfortable. You and I are acting coquettishly, but you only have eyes for the remote control. The more I thought about it, the more uncomfortable I felt. He turned around and looked at Han Qian with cold eyes and said coldly. Go downstairs. What? Snowball fight. I won't go, I'm tired. I didn't ask for your opinion. Not long after, Nuan stood at the door waiting for Han Qian, dressed like a bun. Han Qian still didn't want to move and said softly. Stop playing around. You have to wash your clothes when they're dirty. It's too troublesome to wash winter clothes. Besides, you don't wash your clothes. I wash them every time. Even if you don't go to the dry cleaners, it's a bit late. The one who went down to fight thought we were fools, and we are both so old. You are the vice president of Changxiang Group. If there are employees of your company in the community, it will be very troublesome. You're right, so. Nuan stood at the door and said coldly. Have you nagging enough? If you have nagging enough, go downstairs and wait for death. I don't go. I'll fight with you. I'll go downstairs and bring the snow up. Hearing that the warmth was going to harm the house, Han Qian got cold feet and went downstairs wearing cotton pajamas. Wen squatted in the snowdrift like a pink bun, rubbing the snowball seriously. Han Qian also pushed a snowball with a diameter of 20 centimeters seriously. Han Qian was not prepared at all to let when he held the big snowball and walked towards Wen Nuan with a sneer on his lips. When he stood behind Wen Nuan and was about to throw the snowball, the smile on his lips disappeared. The girl was wrapping snow on a red brick while muttering to herself. Sister is no longer as attractive as TV? Watch TV without looking at me. When you are hospitalized, sister will give you the Kos Akagi Haruko, little Han Qian, just wait to die. After saying that, Wen Nuan noticed someone behind him. He turned around and looked up and saw Han Qian with a naive smile. Han Qian also smiled. Then he saw Han Qian put the snowball on his head. He the one covered in snow sighed. Sister, are we risking our lives by playing snowball fights? Are you going to hit me with a brick? Nuan did not struggle with Han Qian on this matter. He threw away the turning head in his hand and looked at Han Qian, who was covered with snow on the mountain. He put his hands behind his back and leaned forward slightly. He looked at Han Qian from bottom to top and squinted his eyes. Smiled. Then do you want to see me play Haruko Akage for you? Think. Then let me smash it? Then I won't watch it? You can wear black stockings. Can consider it? Let me smash it? Han Qian turned around and suddenly stretched out his hand, picked up Nuan and walked towards the unit door, chattering as he walked. Smash me? Smash my butt. You've had fun and made a fuss. Go home and sleep. Warm symbolic resistance. As soon as he walked into the unit door, he encountered an old couple and a young couple coming out of the elevator. The neighbors that Han Qian had not seen since living here for so long should be a family. Nuan couldn't see that the man was still struggling, and cursed Han Qian as a hooligan. The atmosphere became weird. Han Qian wanted to walk into the elevator, but the four people in the elevator did not come out in a hurry. The aunt looked at Han Qian with cold eyes, and her posture seemed to indicate that she had no intention of giving way to Han Qian. The young man next to him shook off his girlfriend's hand and walked out of the elevator, standing behind Han Qian. The old man in the elevator sighed at this. He didn't seem to want to meddle in this matter. The aunt frowned and said softly, "Girl, if you have something to say, please tell me slowly. Xiao Kong, please stop me, otherwise you won't be able to marry my daughter." The young man standing behind Han Qian chuckled softly. "Don't worry, auntie, I practiced before." This obviously meant that Han Qian was regarded as a real gangster, so he put aside his warmth and smiled bitterly at the aunt. "You misunderstood, she is my girlfriend, we were joking." No, it's not his girlfriend, I'm his ex-wife, and he's bullying me." Seeing that the aunt rolled up her sleeves and was about to take action, Han Qian no longer expected warmth, so he quickly called the landlady. Not long after, the landlady and Li Jiai ran to Xiao Lai on the stairs in their pajamas. After a long explanation, he believed Han Qian. Not a gangster. After they left, the landlady slapped Han Qian on the shoulder and said angrily, "Don't bully Xianyuan. Why are you carrying someone else's back?" After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 308. Why am I carrying her, you ask? You won't believe her if she wants to hit me with a brick. Han Qian didn't want to explain. After being nagged by the landlady, he returned upstairs dejectedly. When he opened the door, Zheng Jing came out and said softly, "Mr. Han, can we have a chat? It's for your own good." Han Qian was slightly surprised, then patted Nuan on the back and said softly, "Be good, lock the door after you go in, and take the key away. I'll be back in a minute." Nuan took the key and glanced at Zheng Jing, then returned home expressionlessly. Then Han Qian pointed to Zheng Jing's home, and the latter nodded lightly. Walking into Zheng Jing's home, the house was very messy and smelled bad. There were leftover instant noodle boxes and fast food boxes on the coffee table. Han Qian frowned tightly and refused to go inside. Zheng Jing was so embarrassed when he saw this. Scratching his head, Han Qian hesitated for a long time before walking to the living room. He did not change his shoes. Han Qian's misophobia is a disease, a very serious disease. He chose a relatively clean place on the sofa to sit down and said softly, "Is it something important?" Zheng Jing walked forward and sat down on the sofa, sorting the documents on the coffee table, and replied with his head lowered. Master Han, it can be said that this matter will not have any impact on you for the time being, but I was promoted by Director Li, and the eldest lady also lives in your home. During this period, I also conducted some investigations on you. And understand, there are some things I think you should be aware of. Oh. Han Qian nodded, took out the cigarettes he snatched from Li Yang during the day, lit one and threw the remaining half-pack to Zheng Jing. The latter hesitated for a moment, then picked up the cigarette and lit it, lowering his head and saying quietly, "Road. Master Han, I heard Mr. Yan and team leader Cai chatting about something at the door not long ago. I did eavesdrop on it intentionally. Did Lu Shenga, the chairman of Glory Group, take action against you? These two idiots." Han Qian nodded lightly and whispered while complaining about the two girls. "Zheng Jing, I have never made things difficult for you. You should know it in your heart. You say you are protecting me, but you are more monitoring me. Don't say you are Li Jinhai's person. I don't even believe him. You think I will believe you? I'm not curious about who you are. Don't ask anything in my mouth. Just say what you want to say and I'll just listen." Zheng Jing smiled bitterly with a cigarette in his mouth. He took a long puff of cigarette and laughed at himself. "Director Li told me a long time ago that if you have a one-on-one conversation with Han Qian, you can only believe half of his words. The other half may be true, or he may be inducing the other party. Mr. Han, I am capable of making all the changes in the city, and I am not stupid enough to want to fight with Mr. Han. Inviting you here today is half of my surrender, and I need to deal with the other half. Tell me, I should know something. There were two influential figures in our city back then. Do you know, Mr. Han? Tu Xiao? Lin Mend? Or my mother-in-law? A man of the hour? Mother-in-law is definitely one of them." After hearing this, Zheng Jing smiled bitterly and shook his head. No, I'm talking about the influential figures of our young generation. There is one who lives in your home. When he was born, many military leaders came. The previous mayor and secretary went to the hospital in person in the middle of the night. Congratulations, my eldest daughter is a darling born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Warmth. Han Qian sneered with endless sarcasm on his lips. Deoxy? I'm afraid they want to give themselves a comfort. My father-in-law built Changxiang Group from scratch, and at your age, you don't know what my father-in-law Wen Shu is capable of, right? Why did he start to retreat before he was 30? Second line, gave up all his goals? Why did my mother-in-law suddenly keep her job and salary indefinitely? Because Wen Nuan is a girl, and everyone hopes that Wen Shi and Li Jinhe's child will be a girl. Neither son nor daughter of Li Jinhan live up to expectations. His son's IQ has some flaws, and Li Jinhai's eldest son is mentally weak and dull. If warmth is with a boy, that is the hope of the political, military, and business families. Oh, everyone hopes that it will be a girl. Because the Li family is in the city, or even in the province, the influence is too great. Wen Shu gave up the struggle before he was 30, and Li Jinhai was anxious to have a second child, Li Duoli. Why did he change his name to Li Duoli? It's because there are so many, he still hasn't been able to become the child that several companies want to cultivate. Is warmth considered a success? Lin Mend would rather give up his rights than let Wen Shi leave the company. What is he afraid of? He was too afraid. It was Li Jinhe who took the knife to hand over the entire company to Wen Nuan. Lin Mend obediently agreed. Why did he agree? Because he knew Wen Nuan couldn't bear it? No child in the entire Li family is up to par. Why does the warm uncle Li Jinhan look down on Han Qian? Because Han Qian was a warm nanny, the little expectation in his heart completely dissipated. Fortunately, there is Han Qian behind Nuan. I am also lucky to have Han Qian, Otherwise, even if Nuan Wen enters the company, she will be kicked out. Nuan has been working and studying since she was a freshman, and even said that she would not go to school for a long time. She has no time and no experience. Otherwise, with a warm family, she could study abroad and further her studies. Han Qian sighed softly and whispered. Who is the other one? Lin Zonghang? Haha. If this waste was another famous figure, then Han Qian might die laughing here. Zheng Jing did not dare to laugh. He lit a second cigarette and said softly. It's Qian Huan, the eldest son of director Chiang Qian. He is not as good as the eldest lady. The eldest lady is not the envy of others, but Mr. Qian is admired and respected by everyone. It's Qian Huan. Han Qian raised his head and sighed. Aunt Qian's child. Han Qian had seen photos. He was 1.85 meters tall and weighed about 145 pounds. He was very handsome. Very handsome. It makes Han Qian feel ashamed. If he stands in front of Qian Huan, Han Qian may become a pebble, but Qian Huan is a shining diamond. De Qianer said that his cousin is very powerful and is proficient in everything, including literature, musical instruments, sports, and business. However, Qian Huan has a shortcoming that does not suit his status. This was guessed from Qian Ling's phone call yesterday. Qian Huan is too steady and reserved. Han Qian sighed again and said softly. I know that he was so proud that he didn't want to live in a wheelchair for the rest of his life, so he committed suicide. Young Master Han, have you ever thought about why young Master Qian got into a car accident? A truck that shouldn't have appeared on that section of the road appeared. It drove the wrong way at a red light and headed straight for young Master Qian. There is one thing I want to tell young Master Han. Once upon a time the chairman position supported by Director Qian and Director Li of Glory was young Master Qian. Not long after, young Master Qian passed away. Director Lu Lushenga had a car accident. On the same road section and in the same way, his newlywed wife died on the spot. Everyone was it is said that Director Lu is unwilling to receive treatment because I heard some rumors at the Yamen gate and it is because he does not dare to stay in the city. Han Qian threw the cigarette butt into the instant noodles box and said softly. What do you want to know? Tell me. Does Feng Haida's death have anything to do with Wei Tiancheng? No. Does Cai Qinghu know that Guan Yunbiao has a gun? Guan Yunbiao doesn't have a gun, and Cai Qinghu also knows that he doesn't have one. The person who attacked you last time was not sent by Lushenga. It's a guess, but there's no evidence. After saying this, Han Qianzhen stood up, stretched and yawned. I should go back to sleep. Xianyuan is waiting for me. What you told me is of no importance to me. I don't care about it. Let's go. Good night. Young Master Han, walk slowly. Zheng Jing didn't send it, and Han Qian didn't miss it either. He strode away from Zheng Jing's house. After leaving, Zheng Jing took out his mobile phone and sent a text message to Niu Qiudong. Everything that needs to be said has been said. Han Qian admitted it, but there was no evidence. What he said about Cai Qinghu and Feng Haida seemed to be true. His eyes were very dull. It didn't take long for the text message to come back. I know, be careful and don't provoke him too much. The news of his arrest has been passed on to the higher authorities, and Li Jinhan's call has come over. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 309. When Nuan had already changed into pajamas when he opened the door, holding the phone in his hand and talking back irritably. After Han Qian walked into the room and changed his shoes, when Nuan gave Han Qian the phone, and Han Qian tilted his head and said in confusion. Who? Uncle. Ah. Headache. If Li Jinhai is the prince of hell, then Li Jinhan is the brother of the prince of hell. He is one of the few elders of Han Qian who dare not talk back. As a result, the phone caller couldn't help but smile and flatter him softly. Uncle, are you in good health? Um. Han Qian felt a sense of oppression when he said through his nose. He didn't dare to speak while holding the phone, and the other party didn't speak either. Gradually, sweat seeped out on his forehead. When Nuan handed Han Qian a tissue and curled his lips. At this time the uncle's rich voice came from the phone. I've heard about you. I'm very satisfied with Feng Lun's action. I can only say that I'm not disappointed or surprised about you and that guy nicknamed Toad. I heard that you made trouble in the city. It was quite a commotion. I thought it was big, but I didn't expect it to be a huge commotion. None of the children in the Li family were talented, and they made a lot of small troubles. None of them should be famous. Over the years, I have been hearing from other families. The children of the Li family are in trouble, but none of them are in my Li family. They look anxious. I don't ask you to do anything serious, and you can't make a name for yourself even if you get into trouble. Where do you want us old guys to put their faces? What I was most afraid of was talking to Li Jinhan. His temperament was a bit like that of an ancient person, and the older he got, the more competitive he became. In the first year of their marriage, we sat together for dinner, and all the elders and children were there, including several. A child of a grandma's relative. The 11 or 12 children, including Han Qian and Li Duyu, the eldest lady of a foreign company, were all scolded by Li Jinhan. The reason was that they were useless even if they could get into trouble, let alone start a company to make money. Li Jinhan likes to compare his own children with other people's children, comparing the good ones to the bad ones. At that time, he would often praise them for their warmth, but the other person said that he was not a girl and would marry in the future, which made Li Jinhan very angry and unlucky. It's these children who are the best. Han Qian, wiping his sweat, swallowed hard and said with a trembling voice. Uncle, I didn't cause any trouble, absolutely not. Did I scold you? Did I scold you? Did I blame you? The 3 consecutive questions made Han Qian almost cry. When Nuan couldn't stand it any longer, he stood next to Han Qian and hugged Han Qian's head and spoke fiercely into the phone. Uncle, why are you bullying Han Qian? Li Jinhan said lightly. You go ahead while you are talking. He is not as timid as you think, otherwise Niu Qiudong wouldn't be in a hurry to let him come over to be his secretary. My uncle didn't call you for any other reason than to find out about the remarriage of the 2 of you. Well, besides, Xiao Han Qian, there are too many girls around you. Han Qian didn't speak, and Li Jinhan didn't seem to be ready to let Han Qian speak. He suddenly laughed while holding his mobile phone. Haha, I'm in a good mood. Recently, I have something to say to slap those old immortal guys in the face. Who can climb the ranks quickly? Why is this person so smart and thoughtful? How dare my niece-in-law stand up to the gangsters with more than a dozen guns aimed at them? I asked the bandit leader Feng Lun to fire twice, killing 1 and knocking 2 out. Ask them who dares. You 2 should get married as soon as possible. Next time your wedding will be held as a military wedding. Divorce is illegal. Li Jinhan hung up the phone, and Han Qian instantly felt that all the strength in his body was gone. He raised his head and looked at Wen Nuan, with tears in his eyes. Can I not answer my uncle's call next time? It's too scary. Nuan hugged Han Qian's head and comforted him softly. Oh, brother Qian was afraid of what he would do, and he didn't scold you. This is even more uncomfortable than scolding me. Now he wants to take advantage of me to make fun of me. If I do something wrong, he might rush over and beat me. Xianyuan, why don't you clean me up and move? Where are you running and he can't find you? It's okay. The worst he can do is continue to be my nanny, and he won't even talk to you or even look at you. I think it will work. Sure, if you get remarried, you can enjoy being the vice president. Then we won't remarry. Can you be a man? Why should I be a man in front of my ex-wife? I need comfort. Be good, sister, let's hug you to sleep. Brother and sister, warmth touched Han Qian clearly and thoroughly, knowing when and what role she should play. In fact, Han Qian didn't have much psychological trauma, but this moment in her heart rather messy. Without distracting thoughts, she hugged Wen Nuan and quickly fell asleep. She slept until 9 o'clock in the morning. When she woke up, Wen Wenhua was gone. She left a note saying that it was snowing and she went to work. Han Qian got up, washed and dressed in a daze, and went out to work. Then he stood dazedly at the main entrance of Glory Group. Confused. Why are you here? Why do you come to Honor Company now? It seemed like there was nothing to do, let alone enjoy it. The hall was deserted when I walked in. It was cold, and no one wanted to hang around in the hall. When he arrived at the general department, Han Qian said hello to Lu Zhuolong and left. Now the only familiar person in the general department was Lao Lu. Han Qian didn't want to stay here and be lazy. When he went downstairs, he found that Ji Jing was also there. Before going to Changxiang, Aunt Ji didn't notice when Han Qian walked up to Ji Jing and walked side by side. Han Qian stretched out his hand and lightly tapped Ji Jing's shoulder. Ji Jing's body trembled and she quickly stepped out of the window. Stepping forward, her body tensed up. When she saw it was Han Qian, she breathed a sigh of relief and whispered. Why are you trying to scare me? It's annoying. Ji Jing symbolically hit Han Qian with her fist, but unfortunately it was the air that suffered. Han Qian raised his hands and smiled at Ji Jing. Aunt Ji, you have wronged me. I have followed you for more than 10 meters. What are you thinking? Ji Jing covered her head and continued walking forward, saying feebly. I have a terrible headache. Last night Ching Ching insisted on drinking with Lan Lan. If she couldn't drink, she asked for help. She dragged Yu Shisai and Qianwan to drink together, and even dragged me along. How could I drink better than Lan Lan? My head is good. Pain. As soon as he finished speaking, Han Qian's hand fell on Ji Jing's forehead and he asked softly in confusion. It's not hot either. Ji Jing's face suddenly turned red, and she looked at Han Qian with wide eyes and bulging mouth. If this scene could be realized in comics, pink steam would have appeared on Ji Jing's head. Gradually, Han Qian also he noticed that Ji Jing's face was very red and hot, and he couldn't help but frown. It's so hot. Are you sick? Aunt Ji, why are your face so red? Ji Jing stared at Han Qian with her mouth bulging, and whispered after a long time. Do you feel warm when I touch you? Then Han Qian poked his head over carelessly. Ji Jing's breath was stagnant, and then she stretched out her green onion and pointed at Han Qian's forehead and said helplessly. Eldest nephew, we know you well and know that you don't know how to fall in love. Do you know that your sudden actions are fatal to girls? You always do the most provocative things with the most careless thoughts. Move. Han Qian chuckled and said softly. Aunt Ji, shall we go have a snowball fight? In Ji Jing's fantasy, snowball fights with Han Qian were sweet. The two chased each other in the snow, raising snowflakes and laughing. But when Ji Jing made a small snowball, she was going to fight Han Qian. When she was walking down the street, she saw Han Qian rolling a 20-centimeter snowball on the ground, and he was still looking at her and laughing. Ji Jing threw away the snowball and whispered. I won't play anymore. Hey? Aunt Ji, don't stop playing. I'm going to finish rubbing you soon, so don't leave. Ji Jing glared at Han Qian and walked towards the door, saying angrily. I won't play with you anymore. People's snowball fights are always sweet. How about you? You are trying to beat me to death. I won't play with you anymore. Ji Jing was really angry. Why didn't she understand a girl's heart at all? Aunt Ji left, and Han Qian stood in the snow in Glory's backyard in a daze, then continued to roll the snowball with his head down. At noon, Jijing, who was dealing with work, received a text message. Aunt Ji goes to the corridor window. Jijing walked out of the operations department with doubts. She stood in front of the window and looked at the snow in the company's backyard. Jijing smiled, her branches trembling with laughter, and tears rolling in her eyes. A little snowman with a straw hat on his head and a sign in his hand. I am a gift. Han Qian was lying in the snow looking at the sky, holding a carrot in his hand, when another text message came from Jijing's cell phone. Happy birthday, Duck. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 310. A few women will not go singing for no reason, and Yang Lan is not a woman who does not have fun without drinking. If Yan Qingqing can drag her to drink together, it means there is a problem. Moreover, Qianwan has also passed by, and Jijing can actually be at work. She accompanied him to have a snowball fight when she was at school, and there were still two of us. Yan Qingqing was on the 14th floor. Could she not know? But she couldn't help but come and cause trouble. There must be something going on here. After calling Nuan, they found out that yesterday they had to wait until 12 o'clock to celebrate Jijing's birthday, otherwise Yan Qingqing would definitely rush over to catch her. Han Qian thought that there was something wrong with hitting someone with a snowball. Jijing hid in the office at noon, crying and laughing at the same time, whispering about Han Qian, a bad guy, and his unintentional actions would make her heart flutter. But very happy and satisfied. Jijing never told Han Qian about her birthday. At the same time, outside the door of her office, people from the planning department were handling the flowers and gifts. All the gifts were sent back the same way. Everyone took the flowers to play with and went home to take a rose bath. But the cheapest one was the gift. The guy who makes Jijing the happiest is sitting in the cafeteria eating alone. He complained that today's meal was not delicious and he stopped playing around with him. Half of the fast food was left. Han Qian felt a little bloated. He was thinking about not wasting food and was ready to fight for this half plate of rice. When he was doing this, a cold feeling suddenly came from the back of his neck. Han Qian immediately shuddered and turned his head to glare. Wan Fang's hands were still stained with a little snow, and she stood beside Han Qian with a smile and said with a smile, "Young Master Han is so lonely today." Today, this woman was wearing a small brown suit. Her long black wavy hair was mixed with a lock of bleached hair. Han Qian held his chin and looked Wan Fang up and down. His squinting eyes made Wan Fang take a step back unnaturally. Han Qian narrowed his eyes and looked at Wan Fang. Eyes smiled. "Sister Wan, do you want to rub my back? In fact, I only like Sister Wan's legs. If you put them on a pair of black stockings, tisk tisk tisk, it's exciting just thinking about it. I'll buy you a pair." Wan Fang covered her mouth and smiled. "Master Han, hurry up and buy some. I recently fell in love with a pair, which costs more than 2,000. The little girl is poor. 2,000? I can go to a KTV and find a group of girls lining up to dress me in black stockings. My clothes got wet by you and I haven't asked for any money yet. Why don't you let me touch your legs?" Wan Fang hesitated and looked at the watermark on Han Qian's neck. It was indeed caused by her. After struggling for a while, she took a small step forward and whispered, "Touch quickly." "All right." As Han Qian spoke, he slapped Wan Fang on the leg with a clear voice. Wan Fang let out a low cry and whispered through gritted teeth, "I asked you to touch me, but who asked you to fight me? Han Qian, do you want to fight? You're not wearing anything underneath? Just a pair of pants. Get out of here, sister is wearing underwear." The two guys almost got into a fight in the cafeteria because of their disagreement. Wanfang was taken away by Sun Yat. Han Qian was originally supposed to follow Yang Jie, but now it was Yang Jie who followed him. Behind him, he followed Sun Yat. Han Qian is very idle. He is the one who faces leisure in the whole company. Above him is the man who keeps dogs in the backyard. The one who is more leisurely than Han Qian is the husky who never looks after the house and lies on the steps to bask in the sun every day. Listening to Sun Ya scolding Wanfang, Han Qian followed behind and made trouble, speeding up. Wanfang couldn't bear it anymore and started to kick Han Qian's crotch. Han Qian reflexively tightened his legs. Sun Ya took a few steps and found out there was no movement behind her. When she turned around, she found that the person behind her was a little far away from her, and her posture was very awkward. Sun Ya had no choice but to cover her face and said helplessly, "Mr. Han, if you get bored, go to the public relations department and make trouble. Can you please stop having a romantic relationship with Wan Wan in public?" The two people who were competing were stunned. At this time, Wanfang held Han Qian's shoulders with both hands, and Han Qian pushed Wanfang's forehead with one hand. The gesture was not ambiguous, but it was not something ordinary friends could do. The most important thing was that Wanfang's feet were clamped at the knees by Han Qian. Han Qian glanced at Sun Ya and pointed at Wanfang with his other hand in disgust. "Sister Yaya, this is your fault. She has already cut off her children and grandchildren. How can we still fall in love? I'm afraid she will strangle me in the middle of the night." Wanfang glared at Han Qian and said angrily, "You still dislike me? I don't even dislike you, a dwarf. I only like uncles, and I don't like you, a virgin who doesn't even know how to start sleeping with me." Han Qian became angry when he said this, pushed Wanfang's face and said angrily, "Wanfang, you went too far. You attacked me personally. You didn't start it first. Who wants to sleep with you? Who wants to strangle you?" Sun Ya couldn't stand listening anymore, so she pulled Wanfang to the public relations department. Xiao Yangjie pulled Han Qian upstairs. When the two separated, Han Qian suddenly spoke. "Wanfang, do you want to join that group?" When Sun Ya said this, she felt lucky for Wanfang. That group made more money, and compared to the girls in the public relations department, the public relations department was fed by youth. One by one, the girls here were able to go out. She urged Wanfang to agree. It's a pity that Wanfang refused and teased delicately. "Thank you very much, Master Han. There is no way I will succumb to your power. Farewell." Wanfang refused. Han Qian didn't feel surprised. It's strange that Wanfang agreed. She is playing with Han Qian now because she doesn't owe Han Qian anything, and there is no need to compliment Han Qian. One person has a way of life. Since the other person doesn't want to, Han Qian without saying anything else, he shrugged and left with Yang Jie. After returning to the public relations department, Sun Ya pulled Wanfang and persuaded her. "Why can't you lose face? How many years can you survive as a youth in a big public relations department? After you go to the group and come back, it's much easier to change departments and companies." Wanfang lowered her head and tiptoed and said nothing. She stubbornly said nothing. Sun Ya nodded Wanfang's forehead and sighed helplessly. Sun Ya is a good person. She has often felt sorry for Yang Lan in the past. It can be said that there are no good people in the company, but they will feel sorry for and worry about their own people. Qin Hui still has 2 or 3 friends, not to mention Sun Ya. Wanfang. Han can Qian be considered a good person? Ah! Han Qian went upstairs and lay down on the sofa in Yan Qingqing's office, saying softly, "Qing Qing, do you know Qian Huan?" Yan Qingqing, who was handling the work, was slightly startled, then frowned. "I know, Director Qian's eldest son was the best young master in the city at the time." I heard that matchmakers almost broke the threshold, but I have never seen him. I only came to the company after he committed suicide. Oh. Han Qian's voice was very calm. Yan Qingqing stood up and walked over with a glass of water. She reached out and grabbed Han Qian's hand and pulled him up from the sofa. Yan Qingqing was very cold, so she pulled Han Qian and sat next to him. Hand him the water glass and say softly. Why did you suddenly mention Qian Huan? What did Director Qian talk to you about? Han Qian took the water glass and took a big sip, shaking his head slightly. I haven't said anything, but I feel like I have said everything. I heard some things yesterday, and I always feel like I'm being targeted now. It's very uncomfortable. Looking down at the water glass, Han Qian had a bad feeling in his heart. Now it seems that I am not just working hard for 4 million. High hopes were placed on him. Now Han Qian needs to figure out one thing, but seeing the double image of the cup in front of him, Han Qian slowly raised his head to look at Yan Qingqing and whispered. You drugged me. Feeling that her eyelids were getting heavier and heavier, she leaned against Yan Qingqing and closed her eyes. Han Qingqing picked up the water glass that Han Qian had thrown on the stall, put Han Qian on her lap, and lowered her head towards Han Qian's. He pecked her gently and spoke softly with a gentle tone that Han Qian would never experience again in his life. Take a rest. You are too tired. The enemies you will face in the future will be stronger. I'm going out today, so I'll update a chapter first. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 311. At 2:30 in the afternoon, Han Qian suddenly opened his eyes. The first time he opened his eyes, he groped for his clothes. Then he took a long breath. He was safe for the time being. Then Han Qian sighed again. Why are you still a little disappointed? When he got up, Yan Qingqing's figure had disappeared. Han Qian opened the door with doubts. Xiao Yangjia was not there either. After asking someone on the floor, he found out that Yan Qingqing had gone to a meeting. Han Qian didn't know where to go to see Qian. When I arrived, Cai Qinghe called. The policeman who was attacked by the big dog let go. He was confused and fell down and bumped into him. His mind has been confused recently. I just figured it out today. The people at the Yamen gate no longer want to lock up Guan Yunbiao. Han Qian is constantly exerting pressure on him. They are also a little irritable under pressure. Since it was a misunderstanding, let's just let it go. Cai Qinghe complained on the phone. Tu Xiao must have received a huge amount of compensation, otherwise he would not let go. There is no way to say this. He was injured, and it was normal for Tu Xiao to pay for medical expenses. Neither of them acknowledged this. There is blackmail and goodwill in it, and others can't say anything about it. Cai Qinghe softly asked Han Qian if he wanted to go pick him up. Just as Han Qian was about to agree, another cell phone rang. It was Lu Guangming's call. Han Qian rejected Cai Qinghe's proposal to pick up Guan Daegu. This eldest sister made it clear that she wanted to go there and humiliate Guan Daegu. Yes, she would not let go of this opportunity to add insult to injury. When she heard that Han Qian was going to meet Lu Guangming, Cai Qinghe remembered that she was Han Qian's secretary now. She said don't run away secretly. Her sister had a gun and asked Han Qian to strangle her to death. If it weren't for her entanglement with her stun gun. At that time, Han Qian would not say that Feng Lun and Kui Li had caught them. Not long after standing in front of the company, a red Ferrari came over, and Han Qian sat in the passenger seat and started chattering. You said you're a government official, so you're not afraid of being investigated for driving such an expensive car. Cai Qinghe replied calmly. Check, all my money comes from nothing. I can't say that I will become a poor man after entering the Yeomanman. It doesn't make sense. I have 2 cars now, are you sure you won't drive one away? Han Qian shook his head. If you don't drive, you never know when you will drink. Then drunk driving will be more troublesome. Go to the resort to meet Lu Guangming and drive. Cai King Hu pouted and started the car. He really thought of her as his secretary. There were countless people pursuing her in and out of the city, and they were trying to flatter her in every possible way. How come his charm didn't work when it came to Han Qian? And even kissed him twice. Whenever he thought of kissing Han Qian, Cai King Hu would feel his cheeks getting a little hot, holding the steering wheel with both hands and shouting sweetly. "Mr. Sir, are you really not going to pick up the big dog? He is your dead brother." Han Qian was in a daze holding his mobile phone, his thoughts wandering to nowhere. Cai King Hu reached out and patted Han Qian's leg, scolding. "Mr. Sir, I'm talking to you." Han Qian turned his head, with a bit of doubt on his face, and said softly. "I slipped away, what did you say?" "I said, does my husband really not need to pick up the big dog?" Han Qian shook his head gently and whispered. "There's no need to pick him up. It didn't take long to go in and he came out in just a few days. Lu Guangming doesn't know why he's looking for me. I'll go meet him first. I always feel that this guy knows more than us." Cai King Hu nodded and laughed softly. After all, he is an old fox who has been entrenched in the city for many years. His ability to become bigger and stronger depends not on the elites he hired at large prices. He must be more aware of the troubles and past events in the city than others. "I contacted you proactively, what's the matter?" Han Qian shrugged and sighed softly. "It's nothing serious. I want to inquire about the real estate project that Honor and Chang Xiang are cooperating with. I have some things I want to ask him. Now I am caught in the middle of certain things. I feel like everyone understands. I am the only one who is confused. My husband, aren't you the one who knows the most things in the city?" After hearing what this silly girl said, Han Qian laughed to himself. "I know a lot about it. I only know about 1/3 of the things at the Yamen Gate. Feng Lun, the grandson, claims to the outside world that I know everything. I am also a tiger who is not in the mountain and a monkey who dominates. It seems that I am that's awesome, actually, I'm just of use to them." The car had entered a small road. After the two got out of the car, Cai King Hu, who put on high heels, ran to Han Qian's side and combed his messy hair. Then he squatted down to tie the laces of Han Qian's leather shoes and took out a tissue to wipe them. Removed the dust on it, lowered his head and whispered softly. "Why do you say that you are so pitiful, sir? You say you have no desires and no demands, but in your heart you are greedier than anyone else. You always say that you have a good temper and dote on everyone around you. But everyone knows that you have a bad temper. You always think that you take things very lightly and are very Buddhist. In fact, you can't tolerate a little sand in your eyes. You are a proud person and you have to force yourself not to be proud or tired." After saying this, Cai King Hu stood up and smiled at Han Qian. "Do you know which word is best used to describe someone like you?" Han Qian shook his head. Cai King Hu stretched out his hand to hold Han Qian's arm and smiled. "Hypocrite. Hypocrite." Han Qian was unhappy. He glanced sideways at Cai King Hu from the corner of his eye and frowned. "Why am I a hypocrite? How am I a hypocrite? Did you take the initiative when you kissed me twice? You made excuses to act like a gangster, and you always pretended to be, well, responsible. Then try what happens if you kiss someone else. Hey, my husband, do you think I'm a forbidden wife? It's up to you to decide who I kiss. You go talk about things while I go to the hot springs to seduce men." The two kings of words walked into the resort, and the mature sister from last time was waiting at the door. This time, the mature sister was a lot more honest and chose to stand beside Cai King Hu to guide the way. Han Qian responded politely. Cai King Hu he whispered that Han Qian was a hypocrite. Lu Guangming received the news that Cai Qinghu and Han Qian were coming together, so he drove away all the Yingying Yanyan who had been prepared, and also changed rooms. He did not dare to engage in any sex trade in front of this woman Cai Qinghu. Who is her relationship with Han Qian? Can't tell clearly. Han Qian and Lu Guangming were sitting opposite each other on the sofa. The mature sister skillfully showed off her tea skills. The low-cut dress exposed the white hemisphere of snow on her chest to the air. Han Qian was a little uncomfortable and couldn't control himself. His eyes felt like the saliva in his mouth was secreting quickly. When Han Qian felt that he could no longer adapt, Lu Guangming spoke. "How are you doing, brother Han? I didn't expect you to bring team leader Cai here today. It's so brilliant." Han Qian didn't speak. He turned his chair with difficulty and looked around. Suddenly, Cai Qinghu's dark shadow flashed in his eyes and fell beside him. He grabbed Han Qian's hand and put it on his lap, laughing softly at Lu Guangming. "You're welcome, Mr. Lu. I'm just my husband's secretary now." "Mr. Xian?" When Lu Guangming was curious, Cai Qinghu turned to look at Han Qian, squinted his eyes and smiled. "Looks good." The smile was sweet, and there was a murderous look in his eyes.